Good afternoon, all of our BD families who are staying home and hopefully staying safe, avoiding all of this COVID-19 mayhem that is surrounding us in our world today. I am privileged to be joined here with our two building principals, Mr. Scott and Mrs. Wolfing. And we just wanted to take an opportunity today to share some information with each of our BD families regarding the continuous learning plan that's going to be starting on Monday, April 20th. We feel like this is really new for everybody, and it's certainly new for us as educators and for our staff members, and we feel like it's really going to be something new for all of our families and our students as well. So we wanted to take this opportunity to share some information with you and hopefully be able to put your mind at ease about all the things that are coming up with these continuous learning opportunities for our kids. We're going to break this down a little bit and each kind of take a role and take our time in visiting with you. And certainly we want to make sure that clarity is what comes out of this video. We want everyone to feel like this is just a casual way of us communicating with you, and we'll get into all of the aspects of the plan and all of the pieces and parts that are going to make this really successful for each of our families and each of our students at Britton Deerfield schools. The first thing that I think it's really important to remember is there were three parts to this plan that came out from the state of Michigan that really have an impact on our families and our students. One, of course, is the learning opportunities, the lessons, the teaching, the learning that's going to happen outside of the day-to-day, face-to-face with our teachers. The other part of this plan has to do with your emotional well-being and the fact that how are we really dealing at home as a family and maybe as an individual student with all of this new COVID world. We want to make sure that we present information to you and give you some opportunities to be able to really reach our counselors, any services that you might need, so that you still feel like you're a part of the Britton Deerfield school community. In addition to that, we want to make sure that we clarify all of our food distribution plans with families, as that will be starting on Monday as well. And so hopefully by the end of this video, you'll have all of the answers to all of your questions, and we'll have reached all of our families in one way or another. If at the end of this you still feel like, I have some questions, I'm not clear on some things, certainly Mr. Scott, Mrs. Wolfing, and myself are always available to any of you at any point in time. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Scott. I think this is going to be the biggest part, Mr. Scott, that is really almost like a scary aspect to some of our families.
It is.
These learning plans are going to come out on Monday, and I feel like as a parent, if I didn't have some information about that learning plan to start out, I would see that packet of information, whether it be online or the few people that we hope have to come take advantage of the paper packets here at school, but when they see those pages, I think families are gonna kind of get a little bit upset or maybe feel a little anxiety or a little intimidation, overwhelmed for sure. So if you could just take a minute to talk about the packets themselves, that would be awesome.
Absolutely. So if you have to come up to the school to pick up a packet, I do not want you to be afraid. This packet I have in my hand is for the junior class. Now, it does not mean that a junior student has to do all of this work. It does not mean that a junior parent has to print this every single page off at home. Each one of these packets will be broken down. This first tab I have here is the math tab. There is your sciences in here. And you got to remember, math, there are 4 different types of math classes. Algebra, geometry, algebra 2, and pre-calc. Science, you may have anatomy, physics, earth science. There are 4, 5, 6 different science classes. Inside this, embedded in here, are all the elective classes, your physical education classes, your art classes, band, choir, drama, creative writing. You may not even be in those classes, and they're in this pack, so when you pick it up, you can just disregard anything you don't have to do. So don't be overwhelmed if you have to come to the school, if you don't have the internet at home, if you don't have the abilities to print, which you may not even need to print, you can just look at the monitor and do the work there. Don't be overwhelmed with these packets. This is every bit of information any junior would have to access, okay? It was just too hard to print individual packets for every student, and especially not knowing who may or may not even need paper packets. But they're available. They'll be at both buildings. You'll see the bins outside, K through 12. You'll simply just walk up to a bin. If you have a second grade student, Walk up to the bin, open the lid, grab a packet for second grade, close the lid, and leave. And really watch your social distancing. Let's not talk to friends. You can wave from a distance, but get the packs and go. There will not be any access inside the building, so if you have questions, you still will have to email us or a phone call, okay?
And just to be clear, Britton Deerfield, our goal is really to provide as many learning resources as we can with our families. But there would be no way that we can provide paper packets for each of our students and each of our families. We simply don't have the resources to do that. The goal on the packets is really, if you have internet access at home, we want you to utilize the online portal, which is our Britton Deerfield webpage. On the Britton Deerfield webpage, we've created a tab at the top of the page that will be called Continuous Learning. Underneath the Continuous Learning tab, there will be a number of resources. One of them will be titled Tools. And under Tools, we will have all of the teachers' email addresses, a list of all of the virtual office hours that teachers are keeping throughout the course of each week of learning so that you can reach your teachers through a virtual meeting or through email. And then we'll also have some learning resources to things such as the SAT, the PSAT, and tests like that students are still going to be responsible for taking next year when we come back to school. One of the other pieces underneath the continuous learning will be all of the packets. They'll be listed by grade level, and each of those packets will be available. And I think it's really important to understand you don't have to print the packet to complete the work in the packet. One of the packets, Mr. Scott, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe one of the packets, the sophomore packet, has 260 pages of resources listed.
252 pages,
Okay.
And that is the largest packet. As we go to elementary, you have 40 to 50 pages in there. Middle school, you're probably 110 to 130, but high school, there's a lot. That's why it's important that you don't have to print everything, just what you need. You don't have to really print anything.
Absolutely. If I was instructing my son at home, he might have the monitor up and have the packet of information there. He certainly can feel free to write down his answers on a notebook page of paper, or just simply utilize his laptop to submit in a Word document the answers that he's going to submit to each of his teachers.
Correct.
There's no reason to feel like you need to utilize your home printers, your home ink supply, anything like that to print the packets of information off.
I would also suggest if you have that student who wants to print those pages off, see if your printer is capable of printing two-sided sheets. It will save you on your paper and your ink.
In addition to that, you really could take a look at the differing sections. Again, your student will not be enrolled in all of the classes that those learning packets adhere to. So you're probably going to want to specifically pick pages out of that document and only print the pages that are necessary. To print the entire learning packet would be a real waste for families at this point in time. And I feel that way also, Mrs. Wolfing, for the middle school students.
It is. Even, I know, for instance, our middle school phys ed, drama, art, all of those documents can be read and done on a separate piece of paper. As a matter of fact, in phys ed, there's nothing you have to print off, nothing you have to hand in the middle school on paper. So it would be a waste to you to print it out. You can simply read it and then go from there. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. And then, when we're talking about parents coming to the school, obviously, part of this learning plan is we need to make our learning resources accessible to all students, to all families. So, the printed packets we're doing here at school are really for those families who do not have access to their devices and to the internet at home. We just simply don't have the resources here to print out 300 and 400 of these packets, nor is that the purpose of this continuous learning plan. One of the other pieces of this that's coming out on Monday is the food distribution, and we're so blessed to have that opportunity. Mrs. Niffen in the Britton building and Mrs. Eisenman here in the Deerfield building are taking care of our kids and our families and making sure that we're ready to go on Monday for food distribution. We'll be distributing food on Monday from 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock in both buildings. Most of the families that contacted my voicemail at school We have you down. We may not have returned everyone's phone call just for time's sake, but certainly if you called, we received your message and we are prepared. Right now we are preparing for about 100 meals in the Britton building and 50 meals here in the Deerfield building. I will be checking my voicemail over the weekend, so if you feel like you decided you and your family really want to take a part of that, please feel free to call this weekend and leave a message. It's important that we have an appropriate count so that we can make sure we have enough food as we go through this. As we move into our continuous learning plan on Monday, we know that this is new. We know that this might be different. Please take time to go through this with your child. Make sure that they understand the directions, and certainly reach out to our staff members. They are making themselves available to you in virtual office hour settings online. They're making their email accessible to you, and they're also checking their voicemails at their school extension at both buildings. So they are there, they are available, just like they always are to our Britton Deerfield families.
We're also looking into the Google phone option app that we have, so potentially we can make some phone calls. And I do have a request, Ms. Johnson, if you don't mind. Those people who are coming on Mondays to pick up your food, remember those packets that we've printed off are for those who need it, who don't have the access at home to get those. If you're here picking up food and you just want to pick up a packet just because you want to see what a packet looks like, really try not to do that. If you have the internet at home, if you have the capabilities at home, because we only have so many copies, and there may be some of our students who really truly need these packets. So if you don't need a packet, please don't take a packet.
Well, I appreciate everyone taking time to watch our informational video. I hope that this helps to alleviate some of the fear and anxiety that might be coming with this continuous learning plan. Again, we wish all of you health and safe days ahead. We are certainly hoping that we have an opportunity to finish out the year with some hopefully commencement exercises and prom, all of those activities that were planned. We have not canceled those activities yet, and we're still hoping for the best. But the best way that each of us can ensure that is to stay home, to stay safe, and again, we wish each of our Britton Deerfield families well. Thanks.